Hey everyone, thanks for joining me today. So in today's video, I am going to be cutting back my asparagus, and as you can see back there, it's already turning that beautiful yellowish brown color, and that tells me that it is ready to be cut back for the winter. So I wanted to show you the area that I'm going to be working in today. And this is the area here. This is really the only area of asparagus in my garden that I have growing. I planted these, I planted these asparagus this year, as a matter of fact. So next year will be going into their second year. I haven't harvested anything from this asparagus yet. But what I'm going to do today is really going to be a very important step in making sure that I get some really nice asparagus in the future. So when your asparagus is growing and it's such a pretty green color, you don't want to cut it down. You want to wait until it turns this color, because if you cut it down while it's green and it hasn't turned this yellowish brown color, then that means that it's still in photosynthesis, and it needs that energy from the sun in order to help it to replenish those nutrients that it's going to need. So you really want to leave them so that they can get that energy that they need and grow you some nice healthy asparagus. Now you may notice that this asparagus plant has some red berries here, and you can't eat these red berries because they are toxic and they will make you sick, and they will make cats and dogs sick as well, so you don't want them to feed them to your pets. Now another thing about these berries is that you can let them dry out very thoroughly, and once they dry out, then you will peel away this outer covering and you will have an asparagus seed that you can plant for the next year. Another thing I thought was interesting about the asparagus plant is that only the females grow the red berries. The male plants, they don't grow berries at all, which is why some people prefer to grow the male asparagus plants, because when they grow the berries, they are spending this energy in order to grow the berries, and that can take energy away from your plant being productive for next year, which is why I'm going to cut all of this down, and that way I'll have a very productive asparagus plant next year. When you cut back your asparagus plant, you want to cut it about an inch or so from the base of your plant, from the top of the soil. So cutting it about an inch above the top of the soil it's not going to hurt the plant. It's not going to hurt your asparagus plant. It's just going to make sure that you can have some healthy growth next year. Cutting back your asparagus may seem to be a little harsh, I know, but this is something that is necessary because it's going to help you to have some really healthy asparagus next year. So as long as you have asparagus, this is something that's going to have to be done every year, and it's like your plants are going to remind you, because they are going to turn that color, and it's like they're saying, time to cut me now. So that's your indication that it's time to cut your asparagus back. I'm going to cut all the asparagus down. I'm going to come back, and then I'm going to show you my next step. this looks so much better, doesn't it? I'm loving it. So if you want to start your own asparagus garden, what you need to do is pick an area that is going to get full sun, at least 6 to 8 hours of sun a day. You want to make sure that your soil is well draining because the asparagus roots do not like to sit in wet soil. And you want to make sure that you have a pH of 6.5 for your asparagus. Now, I have mine in I want to call this like a semi-raised bed. It is up from the ground a little bit, but you can grow asparagus in a raised bed garden. Now, I wouldn't recommend growing asparagus in a container. You can give it a try. Yours might do well. I haven't had much success from growing asparagus in containers. Now, what I'm going to do now is I am going to add some compost over my asparagus clumps that I have here. You can use well-aged manure. I just have some mushroom compost that I had left over. I'm going to put some of that up there, and then I'm going to follow it with some wheat straw. This is to give it an added protection from the cold weather. So I have not picked any of this asparagus, mainly because I was wanting it to get established and get strong. Now, it's recommended that when you harvest your asparagus for the first time, you do it in the 3rd growing season. However, if you feel like your asparagus is big enough during the 2nd season, then I would highly recommend that you pick it over a 3 to 4 week period only, and then wait for the 3rd growing season and regularly harvest your asparagus. Okay, so I'm going to be using some wheat straw here. And I'm just going to put a layer up there. Usually I don't have any trouble with my asparagus being affected by the cold, because we get cold temperatures here in zone 8, but they're not like really below freezing temperatures a lot. We don't get that here, which I may be surprised. So it's better to be safe than sorry. Okay, so I am all done, and I do this mainly to keep the weeds from growing up, but you don't have to use wheat straw like I did. You can use mulch, you can use shredded leaves, they work just as well. And then when the spring comes and all danger of frost is gone, you can kind of pull back some of the mulch, and this will allow the soil to warm up and for your asparagus crowns to start popping up from the soil. Now, I want to mention that when I was cutting down the ferns, the asparagus ferns, I didn't see any hint of any type of asparagus beetles, no worms, Japanese beetles. Those are things that really plague the asparagus plant, and I didn't see any of those, which is a good reason to cut down your asparagus ferns over the winter. Now, another thing I want to mention is, now that I've covered it with mulch, I don't have to water it as often as I did before. Now, I will probably water it occasionally, and that's occasionally, not a lot, over the winter, because they don't require a lot of water over the winter. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I will come back when the asparagus starts popping up, show you how I care for the asparagus. But in the meantime, if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up, share it with your friends. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please click that subscribe button, click the notification bell, and that way you'll be notified of any new videos I have posted. And I will see you on the next video. Bye-bye.